The Swimsuit That Broke the Internet, Lia Thomas and the Battle for the Soul of Sports. Forward. This book delves into the tumultuous story of Lia Thomas, a transgender swimmer whose participation in women's collegiate athletics ignited a firestorm of debate, challenging deeply held beliefs about fairness, inclusion, and the very definition of womanhood in sports. It is a story not just of athletic achievement, but of legal battles, political maneuvering, and the deeply personal struggles of athletes caught in the crosshairs of a cultural clash. This is not a judgment, but an exploration. Chapter 1. The Rise of Lia Thomas. Before the controversy, there was Will Thomas, a male swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania. His performance, while commendable, was unremarkable. A 470th place national ranking speaks volumes. Then came the transition to Lia Thomas. The following season, the transformation was nothing short of astounding. Lia set school records, obliterating previous benchmarks and ultimately culminating in a 2022 NCAA championship win in the 500-yard freestyle. This victory, however, was not celebrated universally. It became the focal point of a national debate that would redefine the landscape of women's sports. The speed of her ascent, the sheer magnitude of her improvement compared to her previous times as a male athlete, was undeniable and deeply unsettling to many. Her success, so swiftly achieved, raised fundamental questions about fairness and the very definition of competitive equality in women's athletics. Chapter 2. The Uproar and the Fallout. Lia Thomas's victory was not met with unadulterated celebration. Fellow swimmer Riley Gaines, who tied with Thomas for 5th place in the 200-yard freestyle, became a vocal opponent. Gaines, a 12-time All-American, articulated the feelings of many female athletes who felt profoundly disadvantaged, their years of dedicated training seemingly overshadowed by a competitor with a biological advantage. Her voice, initially a lone cry in the wilderness, amplified the concerns of countless others, sparking a national discussion about fairness in women's sports. The controversy extended beyond the swimming pool, impacting the lives of countless female athletes who faced the reality of a biological male competing alongside them. This included not just the loss of competitive advantage but also the anxieties that arose in shared spaces like locker rooms, an aspect particularly highlighted by Paula Scanlon's compelling testimony about the discomfort of sharing intimate facilities with Thomas. The University of Pennsylvania, initially supportive of Thomas's participation, faced intense scrutiny. The Department of Education, under the Trump administration, launched an investigation into potential Title IX violations, a pivotal moment in the saga. The investigation focused on whether UPenn's policies allowing Thomas to compete violated Title IX's prohibition of sex-based discrimination in education programs receiving federal funding. The threat of losing a substantial portion, over $1 billion at one point, of its substantial $22 billion endowment finally led UPenn to agree to a resolution, vacating Thomas's records and reinstating the rightful victor's achievements. The settlement also forced the university to publicly declare its commitment to a biology-based definition of sex in sports. This wasn't merely a legal matter. It was a stark admission that a critical line had been crossed. Chapter 3. Perspectives and the Politics of Inclusion. The debate surrounding Lia Thomas transcended the sports world, becoming a battleground for broader societal and political forces. Supporters of Thomas emphasized the importance of inclusion and transgender rights, arguing that excluding transgender women from women's sports was discriminatory. They stressed the importance of gender identity over biological sex. This stance was often associated with progressive political viewpoints. However, the narrative that was widely shared was that those who supported Thomas were promoting unfairness, that inclusion was being prioritized over fairness to women athletes, and that the issue was not about hatred or bigotry but about preserving fair competition in women's sports. It was a debate laden with competing ideals and emotional stakes. Opponents, on the other hand, raised serious concerns about competitive fairness, pointing to the inherent physiological advantages that biological males possess over biological females in most sports. This group often found its support base among conservative political views. Their arguments centered on the preservation of women's athletic opportunities and the potential erosion of decades of progress made towards gender equity in sports. The seemingly swift victory of the Riley Gaines Act, adopted in 28 states, underscored the growing public support for policies protecting female athletes. The argument became increasingly focused on the notion that allowing biological males to compete in women's sports was not only unfair but fundamentally undermined the definition of women's sports itself. The media's role in shaping public perception cannot be ignored. ESPN's coverage, perceived by many as biased and inconsistent, further fueled the flames of controversy. This inconsistency, coupled with the network's celebration of Thomas during Women's History Month, angered many, illustrating how media narratives can influence public opinion in such a divisive issue. Chapter 4. The Human Element. Beyond the headlines and the legal battles lies the human story. Lia Thomas's own experiences, expressed in her frustration at being reduced to a mere issue, underscore the personal cost of the controversy. Her account of being dehumanized, stripped of her individuality, and reduced to a symbol in a larger debate, provides a poignant counterpoint to the often polarized public discourse. The experiences of Paula Scanlon and Riley Gaines, both accomplished swimmers who shared the same competitive space with Thomas and voiced their concerns, highlight the very human impacts of the debate. Their stories illustrate how the debate extended beyond the winning and losing of races, touching upon the personal anxieties, fears, and emotions of the athletes involved. Conclusion: a legacy of questions. The Lia Thomas saga is far from over. It remains a contentious issue, shaping debates about inclusion, fairness, and the future of women's sports. The legal battles are ongoing. The narrative, however, is clear. This was not merely a story about a single swimmer's success. It was a watershed moment that exposed deep fissures within society's understanding of gender, competition, and the protection of women's rights in the realm of sport. The swimsuit that broke the internet continues to spark dialogue, challenge assumptions, and force a re-examination of fundamental concepts long taken for granted. The lasting legacy of this controversy is not easily summarized. Rather, it is a complex and multifaceted legacy that will continue to influence and shape the debates to come.